In this module, we're going to discuss all things fruits. The objectives for this module are: identify a variety of fruits, purchase fruits appropriate for various needs, store fruits properly, describe how fruits are preserved, prepare fruits for cooking or service, and apply various cooking methods to fruits. Fruits are divided into 8 different categories: berries, citrus, exotic fruits, grapes, melons, palms, stone fruits, and tropical fruits. Berries are small, juicy fruits grown on vines and bushes. They're thin-skinned with tiny seeds. They can be eaten plain. They can be cooked or added into other items, or they can be made into fine jams and compotes. Some of the fruits discussed in this section do not fit botanical definitions of fruits, such as raspberries and strawberries, berries in particular, and we cover some fruits that are classified as berries botanically, such as bananas or grapes, elsewhere. A note about berries. Berries must be fully ripened on the vine, as they will not ripen any further after harvesting, unlike things such like tomatoes. So let's define what is ripe. Ripe means fully grown and developed. A ripe fruit's flavor, texture, and appearance are at their peak, and the fruit is ready for use as a food. Because of this, they have a very short shelf life. Blackberries are similar to raspberries, but are larger and shinier with a deep purple to black color. Thorny blackberry vines are readily found in the wild. Commercial production is limited, however. Loganberries, marionberries, oleoberries, and boysenberries are blackberry hybrids. Blueberries are small and firm with a true blue to almost black skin and juicy, light gray bluish interior. Their cultivated berries, which are in Highland bush varieties, tend to be larger than the wild low bush ones. However, the low bush variety tends to be a much more pronounced flavor. Blueberries are native to North America and are grown commercially from Maine to Oregon and along the Atlantic seaboard. Cranberries, another native North American food, are tart, firm fruit with a mottled red skin. They grow on low vines in cultivated bogs or swamps throughout Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington State, Wisconsin, and New Jersey. You may have even seen a couple of guys standing in a bog that's filled with water and cranberries all around it, maybe on an Ocean Spray commercial. Rarely eaten raw, they're made into sauce or relish, or used as in breads, pies, and pastries. Cranberries are available frozen or made into a jelly-like substance and sauced and canned. Color does not indicate ripeness, however. Cranberries should be picked over before cooking, and those that are soft or bruised should be discarded. Currants are tiny tart fruit that grow on shrubs like grape clusters. The most common currant is a beautiful, almost translucent red, but black and golden varieties are also existent. All varieties are used for jams, jellies, and sauces, and black currants are made into a liqueur called creme de cassis. Although rarely grown in the lower United States, currants are very popular and widely available in Alaska and Europe, with the peak season during the late summer. Raspberries are perhaps the most delicate of all fruits. They have a tart flavor and velvety texture. Red raspberries are the most common, although black, purple, and golden berries are available in some markets. When ripe, the berry pulls away easily from its white core, leaving the characteristic hollow center. Because they can easily be crushed and are susceptible to mold, most of the raspberries grown are marketed frozen. Raspberries grow on thorny vines in cool climates of Washington State to western New York and are imported from New Zealand and South America. Strawberries are brilliant red heart-shaped fruits that grow on vines. The strawberry plant is actually a perennial herb. The berry's flesh is covered by tiny black seeds called achenes, which are the plant's true fruits. Select berries with a good red color and intact leaf green hull. The hulls can be easily removed with a paring knife or a tomato core. Avoid berries with the soft or brown spots. Huge berries may be lovely to look at, but they often have hollow centers and have very little flavor or juice. Citrus is characterized by thick rinds with bitter white pith. They have a thin exterior layer of colored skin known as zest, which contains the oil that provide flavor and aroma. Citrus fruits are acidic in nature. The flesh is segmented and juicy, and flavors vary from bitter to tart to sweet. Grapefruits are large and round with yellowish skin, thick rind, and a tart flesh. They are an 18th century hybrid of an orange and a pomelo, a large coarse fruit most commonly used in Middle Eastern and Far Eastern cuisines. Two varieties of grapefruit are widely available all year: white, fleshed, and pink or ruby fleshed. White grapefruits produce the finest juice, although pink grapefruits are sweeter. Fresh grapefruits are best eaten raw or topped with brown sugar and lightly broiled. Kumquats are very small, oval-shaped, orange-colored fruits with a soft, sweet skin and slightly bitter flesh. They're eaten whole, either raw or preserved in syrup or jam. The most commonly used citrus fruits, lemons, are oval-shaped, bright yellow fruits with a strongly acidic flavor that makes them unpleasant to eat raw, but perfect for flavoring desserts and confections. Lemon juice is also widely used in sauces, especially for fish, shellfish, and poultry. Lemon zest is candied or used as garnish. The round, smooth-skinned, and juicy Meyer lemon has a sweet, less acidic flavor and a strong aroma. It may be used in place of common lemons, especially in desserts and sauces where the lemon is the dominant flavor. Limes are small fruits with thin skins ranging from yellowish green to dark green. Limes are too tart to eat raw and are often substituted for lemons in prepared dishes. However, their flavors are quite distinct. They're also juiced and used in cocktails, curries, and desserts. Lime zest can be grated and used to give color and flavor to a variety of dishes. The key lime is a small tart lime, a variety that's native to South Florida and is used to make things such as key lime pie. Oranges are round fruits with juicy orange-colored flesh and thin skin. They can be either sweet or bitter. Valencia oranges and navel oranges are seedless varieties, which are the most popular of the sweet oranges. They can be juiced for beverages or sauces, and their flesh may be eaten raw, added to salads, or cooked in desserts and used as a garnish. Orange zest may be grated or julienned for sauces or garnishes. Blood oranges are also sweet, but are small with a rough, reddish skin. Their flesh is streaked with a blood red color. Blood oranges are available primarily during the winter months and are eaten raw, juiced, or used in salads or sauces. When selecting sweet oranges, look for fruits that feel plump and heavy with unblemished skins. The color of the skin depends on weather conditions. A green rind does not affect the flavor of the flesh. Bitter oranges include the Seville and the Bergamot, and they are used primarily for the essential oils found in their zest. Oil of the bergamot gives Earl Grey tea its distinctive flavor, or the oil of the Seville is essential to curacao, Grand Marnier, and orange flower water. Seville oranges are also used in marinades and sauces for meats and poultry. Mandarin oranges are a group of small citrus characterized by their thin, loose peels, intense flavor, and perishability. Clementines, Satsuma mandarins, and tangerines are among the most popular mandarin varieties available. They're small with dark orange and to reddish orange skin. Their rind is loose and easily removed to reveal sweet, juicy, aromatic segments which may or may not contain seeds. Mandarin oranges are most often eaten fresh in hand and uncooked, but are available canned. Tangelos are a hybrid of tangerines and grapefruits. They are the size of a medium orange and have a bulbous stem end and few to no seeds.
Slice a little off the top and bottom of the orange to create two flat edges and give a stable cutting surface. Use the front end of the knife and, starting at the top, slice downwards, following the curve of the fruit. Cut away all the skin and pith, ensuring not to remove any flesh. Use the knife to gently slice between one of the segments and the connective membrane. Cut until you reach the middle of the fruit, ensuring you don't pierce the membrane. Repeat on the other side of the segment and lift out from the centre until completely released. For an orange, use a paring knife and a larger knife for bigger citrus fruits. Repeat to remove all the segments, squeezing the excess juice out. You can use this method to segment any citrus fruit.
Improved transportation has led to the increasing availability, although sporadic in some areas, of exotic or unusual fresh fruits such as figs, persimmons, pomegranates, rhubarb, and star fruits. Other exotic fruits such as breadfruit, durian, loquat, and prickly pear are still available only in limited basis from specialty purveyors. Figs are the fruit of the ficus tree. They are small, soft, pear-shaped fruits with an intensely sweet flavor and rich, moist texture made crunchy by the multitude of tiny seeds. Fresh figs can be sliced and served in salads or with cured meats such as prosciutto. Figs can also be baked, poached, or used in jams, preserves, or compotes. There are several varieties of gooseberries that are cultivated for culinary purposes. One well-known variety is the European gooseberry, a member of the currant family that grows on spiny bushes in cool, moist regions of northern hemisphere. The skin, which is firm and smooth or only slightly hairy, can be green-white, actually greenish-gray, yellow, or red. And they're eaten fresh or used in jellies and preserves, tarts, and other desserts, or as a traditional accompaniment to rich or fatty dishes such as goose or mackerel. Cape gooseberries are covered with a paper, a thin husk or calyx. About the size of cherries, they have a waxy, bright orange skin and many tiny seeds. Their flavor is similar to a coconut and oranges, but tartar. Cape gooseberries may be eaten raw, made into jam, or used in desserts. Fresh, they can be an especially striking garnish, especially when dipped in chocolate. Guava are small oval or pear-shaped fruits with a strong fragrance and a mild, slightly grainy flesh. They are excellent in jams and preserves, and guava juice is available plain or blended with other tropical fruit juices. Guava paste, a thick, sliceable gel, is a popular treat throughout Central America and the Caribbean. Guava, which will ripen if stored at room temperature, is best when slightly soft and fully ripened. The lychee, also spelled lychee or lychee, is the fruit of a large tree native to southern China and Southeast Asia. The fruit, which grows in clusters, is oval to round, red, and about 1 inch in diameter. The tough outer skin encloses a juicy, white, almost translucent flesh and one large seed. Neither the seed nor the skin is edible. The mangosteen, another native of Southeast Asia, is cultivated in Java, Sumatra, and the Philippines. Mangosteens, no relation to mangoes, are the size of a small orange and have flattened ends. They have a thick, hard, deepish red, purple rind with a hard white petal-shaped protrusions at the stem end. The interior flesh is snow white and segmented, looking something like a mandarin orange. The texture is juicy and delicate with a slightly astringent flavor. Persimmons, sometimes referred as keiki or Sharon fruits, are a bright orange acorn-shaped fruit roughly the same size as of an apple, with glossy skin and large papery blossoms. The flesh is bright orange and jelly-like, with a mild but rich flavor similar to honey and plums. Persimmons should be peeled before use. Any seeds should be discarded. Select bright orange fruits and refrigerate only after they are completely ripe. When ripe, persimmons are very soft and their skin has an almost translucent appearance. Ripe persimmons are delicious eaten raw, halved, or topped with cream or soft cheese, or peeled, sliced, and added to a fruit salad. Persimmon bread, muffins, cakes, and pies are also popular. Unripe persimmons are almost inedible, however. They are strongly tannic with a chalky or cottony texture. Persimmons are tree fruits grown in subtropical areas worldwide, although the Asian varieties, now grown in California, are the most common. One of the most ancient fruits known to man is the pomegranate. An ancient fruit native to Persia, now Iran, pomegranates have long been a subject of poetry and a symbol of fertility. Pomegranates are round, about the size of a large orange, with pronounced calyx. The skin forms a hard shell and a pinkish red color. The interior is filled with hundreds of small reddish seeds, which are botanically the actual fruits, surrounded by juicy red pulp. An inedible yellow membrane separates the seeds into components or compartments. Pomegranates are sweet sour, and the seeds are pleasantly crunchy. The bright red seeds make an attractive garnish. Pomegranate juice is a popular beverage in Mediterranean cuisines, and grenadine syrup is made from concentrated pomegranate juice. Select heavy fruits that are not rock hard, cracked, or heavily bruised. Whole pomegranates can be refrigerated for several weeks. Dragon fruit are any of several species of the Cacti family native to South America, now widely grown in tropical climates. About the size of an eggplant with the flavor that resembles a kiwi or melon, the fruit is eaten raw and made into refreshing juice. Dragon fruit are easily peeled with a paring knife before serving. Rambutan's, the fruit of a tree in a soapberry family, are closely related to lychees. Native to Malaysia, they are now cultivated throughout Southeast Asia. The bright red, oval fruits is about the size of a small hen's egg and is covered with long, soft spines. The interior is white, lightly acidic pulp. Rambutans darken with age, so select brightly colored fruits with soft, fleshy spines. Rambutans are eaten fresh and used in preserves and ice cream, and they can also be canned. Although botanically a vegetable, rhubarb is most often prepared as a fruit. It's a perennial plant that grows well in temperate and cold climates. Only the pinkish red stems are edible, though. The leaves contain high amounts of oxalic acid, which is a toxin. Rhubarb stems are extremely acidic, requiring the addition of large amounts of sugar to create the desired sweet-sour taste. Cinnamon, ginger, orange, and strawberry are particularly compatible with rhubarb. It's excellent for pies, cobblers, preserves, or stewing. Young tender stalks of rhubarb do not need to be peeled. When cooked, rhubarb becomes very soft and turns a beautiful light pink color. Fresh rhubarb is sold as whole stalks with the leaves removed because of its acidic properties. Select crisp, unblemished stalks. Frozen rhubarb pieces are readily available and work well for pies, tarts, or jams. Starfruits, also known as carambola, are oval up to 5 inches long with 5 prominent ribs or wings running their length. A cross-section cut is shaped like a star, which is where it gets its name, starfruit. The edible skin is a waxy orange-yellow. It covers a dry, paler yellow flesh. The flavor is similar to that of plums, sweet but bland. Starfruits do not need to be peeled or seeded. They are most often sliced unpeeled and added to fruit salads or used as a garnish. Unripe fruits could be cooked in stews or chutneys. Color and aroma are best indicators of ripeness. Starfruits should be a deep golden yellow, and there should be brown along the edges, a slight browning along the edges. The aroma should be full and flavorful and floral. Green fruits can be kept at room temperature to ripen, then refrigerated up to 2 weeks. Starfruits are cultivated in Hawaii, Florida, and California, though some are still imported from the Caribbean. Grapes are the single largest fruit crop in the world, mostly due to wine consumption, and there are dozens of varieties of grapes that are designed specifically for wine grapes. However, we're going to be concentrating on the edible grapes in this module. Grapes are classified by color as white, which are actually green, or black, which is actually red. White grapes are generally blander than black ones with a thinner skin and a firmer flesh. The grape's color and most of its flavor are found in the skin. Red Flame grapes are seedless California hybrid grapes. They are large and round with a slightly tart flavor and variegated red color. The most commercially important table grapes are a variety known as the Thompson Seedless, which are a pale green with a crisp texture and a sweet flavor. Many are dried in hot desert suns of California's San Joaquin Valley to produce dark raisins. For golden raisins, Thompson Seedless grapes are treated with sulfur dioxide to prevent the browning and then dried mechanically. Concord grapes, one of the few grape varieties native to the New World, are especially important for making juices and jellies. Like pumpkins and cucumbers, melons are members of the gourd family. The dozens of melon varieties can be divided into 2 general types: sweet or dessert melons and watermelons. Sweet melons have a tan, green, or yellow netted or furrowed rind and dense, fragrant flesh. Watermelon has a thick, dark green rind surrounding crisp, watery flesh. Melons are almost 90% water, so cooking destroys their texture, quickly turning them to mush. Although they will continue to soften once picked, melons do not develop additional sweetness after harvest and should be vine ripened. A vine-ripened melon should have a strong aroma and yield slightly, and spring back when pressed at the blossom end, opposite of the stem end. Avoid melons that are very soft and feel damp at the stem ends. Ripe melons may be stored in the refrigerator, although its flavor is better at room temperature. Slightly underripe melons can be stored at room temperature to allow the flavor and aroma to develop. Cut melons should always be stored refrigerated for safety. American cantaloupes, which are actually muskmelons, have a thick yellow-green netted rind, a sweet, moist orange flesh, and a strong aroma. As with all sweet melons, the many small seeds are found in the central cavity. Cantaloupes are excellent for eating alone, and especially good with ham or rich meats. Avoid cantaloupes with a pronounced yellow color or moldy aroma that indicates overripeness. The cassava melon is a teardrop-shaped sweet melon, used like a cantaloupe. It has a coarse yellow skin and thick, ridged-lined rind. Its flesh is creamy white to yellow. Cassava melons do not have an aroma. Look for an intense golden skin color and the absence of dark or moist patches. Crenshaw melons, also called Cranshaw melons, have a mottled green-yellow ridged rind and an orange-pink flesh. They are large, pear-shaped sweet melons with a strong aroma. The flesh has a rich, spicy flavor and may be used like cantaloupe. Honeydew melons are large, oval, sweet melons with a smooth rind that ranges from white to pale green. Although honeydew flesh is generally pale green with a mild sweet flavor, pink or yellow or gold-fleshed honeydews are also available. Like cassava melons, honeydew melons have little to no aroma. Watermelons are large, sometimes up to 30 pounds, round or oval-shaped melons with a thick rind. The skin may be solid green, green striped, or mottled with white. The flesh is crisp and extremely juicy with small, hard black seeds throughout. Seedless varieties are also available. Most watermelons have a pink to red flesh, although golden fleshed watermelons are also available, and these are becoming more common. Watermelons are of a different genus of the sweet melons described earlier. They are native to tropical Africa and are now grown commercially in Texas and several southern states.
It isn't summer until you've had your first watermelon of the season. Chances are, though, it's been about a year since you've bought your last watermelon. Do you remember how to pick out a good one? Many people have no idea how to select a watermelon. They just knock on this oversized fruit as if they know what they're doing. Although it can be difficult to know how ripe the interior is just by inspecting the outside, there are several clever tricks you can learn to help you pick the perfect watermelon. 1. Lift a few. The watermelon should be heavy for its size, as it indicates that it's full of water and therefore nice and ripe. Try comparing the weight of your watermelon to another of equal size. The heavier one will be riper. This advice goes for most fruits and vegetables. 2. Look for the field spot. The underside of the watermelon should have a creamy yellow spot, known as the field spot. This is where the watermelon sat on the ground and ripened in the sun. So the darker it is, the better. This one is no wives' tale. If the field spot is white or even non-existent, this probably means that the watermelon was picked too soon and will not be ripe. 3. Inspect the color. A perfect ripe watermelon should be dark green in color and dull in appearance, rather than shiny. A shiny watermelon will usually be underripe. 4. Say no to stem. If the melon still has a stem on it, move along. This means the melon didn't come off the vine easily, so it wasn't quite ripe. You could look for a melon with a slightly indented end. This indicates that the melon came off the vine on its own. 5. What about knocking? Knocking is pointless. However, you can hold the watermelon like you're cradling a baby and give it a good thwap. You'll feel the vibrations in the bottom of your hand if the watermelon is right. 6. What about selecting a pre-cut melon? If you're purchasing pre-cut watermelon, there's also certain things to look out for. Choose pieces with bright red flesh and dark brown or black seeds. Avoid pieces with white streaks and an abundance of white seeds. You should also steer clear if the flesh looks dried out or mealy or is separated from the seeds. Now, what about you? Do you have any tricks to pick a perfect watermelon?
Palms are tree fruits with thin skin and firm flesh surrounding a central core containing many small seeds called pips or carpels. Palms include apples, pears, and quince. Apples, or palms, perhaps the most common and commonly appreciated of all the fruits, grow in trees in temperate zones worldwide. They are popular because of their convenience, their flavor, their variety, and availability. As you can see, as different kind of varieties, this is just scratching the surface of some of the different types of apples, from the Braeburn to the Cameo, the Cox, the Fuji, Golden Delicious, Granny Smith, Jazz, Pink Crisp, Red Delicious, Royal Gala, and I'm sure you've seen at least a dozen more varieties. Apples can be eaten raw out of hand, or they can be used in a wide variety of cooked or baking dishes. When considering whether to use an apple as a cooked or an out of hand, consider the crispness of the apple. Not all apples can be cooked very easily. For instance, a Golden Delicious apple looks really good, tastes really good, but if you cook it, it's going to turn to mush. So we tend to use an apple like a Granny Smith, which is a little more tart and is not really necessarily eaten out of hand, but cooks extraordinarily well. Of the hundreds of known apple varieties, only 20 or so are commercially significant within the United States. Most apples have a moist, creamy white flesh and a thin skin of yellow, green, or red. They range in flavor from very sweet to very tart, with an equally broad range of textures, from firm and crisp to soft and mealy. You can see on the chart listed on the screen that on the tart side you've got the Granny Smith, and on the sweet side you have the Fuji apple, and the rest of the apples fall somewhere along the spectrum. In Europe, apples are divided into distinct cooking and eating varieties. Cooking varieties are those that disintegrate into puree when cooked, with the exception of some American varieties, such as the Granny Smith, which will hold its shape. American varieties are less rigidly classified. Nevertheless, not all apples are appropriate for all types of cooking. Firm apples that retain their shape better during cooking are best choices for slices or where appearances are important. Apple varieties with a higher malolactic acid content break down easily, making them more appropriate for applesauce or juicing. Any type of apples may be eaten out of hand, depending on personal preferences. Although not native to North America, apples are now grown commercially in 32 states, with Washington, New York, and Michigan leading in production. Apples are harvested when still slightly underripe. They're stored in controlled atmosphere in which temperature and oxygen are generally reduced, or extended periods until ready for sale. When selecting apples, look for smooth, unbroken skin and firm fruits, without soft spots or bruising. Badly bruised or rotting apples should be discarded immediately because they emit ethylene gas that speeds spoilage of nearby fruits. Remember the saying that one bad apple spoils the barrel. Stores applies apples are chilled up to 6 weeks. Apples peels, the skin may be eaten or removed as desired, but all peeled or unpeeled apples should be washed before use to remove any pesticides or any wax that has been applied to improve appearance. Apple slices can be frozen, often with sugar or citric acid added to slow the spoilage, or they can be dried as well. Take a moment to pause this video and take a look at this chart. On this chart, you've got all the different varieties of commercially available apples, their skin color, their flavor, their texture, and their usages, and particularly which apples are better for baking and which apples are better for eating out of hand. Pears are an ancient tree fruit grown in temperate areas throughout the world. Most of the pears marketed in the United States are grown in California, Washington, and Oregon. Although thousands of pear varieties have been identified, only a dozen are commercially significant. Pear varieties vary widely in size, color, and flavor. They're most often eaten out of hand, but can be baked or poached. Pears are delicious with cheese, especially blue cheeses, and can be used in fruit salads, compotes, or preserves. Some of the most common pear varieties are the red ingenue, the speckle, the crimson, the comice, the d'Anjou, the Concord, the Bartlett pear, which does not relate to Bartlett, Tennessee, the Bosc. The Asian pear is a unique pear, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and the red Bartlett pear. When selecting pears, look for fruits with smooth, unbroken skin and intact stems. Pears do not ripen properly on the tree, so they are picked while still firm and should be allowed to soften before use. Underripe pears may have maybe left at room temperature to ripen. Properly ripened pear is a good fragrance and yields to gentle pressure with the stem ends. Pears can be prepared or stored in the same way as apples. Take a few minutes to pause the video and check out this chart where you can see the different varieties, appearance, flavor, texture, and usages of the different pears. Asian pears, also known as Chinese pears or apple pears, are a different species in common pear. They have the moist, sweet flavor of a pear and the round shape and crisp texture of an apple. They're becoming increasingly popular in the United States, particularly the 20th century or Nijiseki variety of pears. The one pictured is that particular variety, and you'll notice that it is stored with a netting around it, and this is because these are very susceptible to bruising if mishandled. The common quince resembles large, lumpy yellow pears. Their flesh is hard, and many pipes or pips or seeds, and they have a wonderful fragrance to them. Too astringent to eat raw, quince develop a natural sweet flavor and pink color when cooked with sugar. Quince are used in meat stews, jellies, marmalades, and pies. They have high pectin content and may be added to other fruit jams or preserves to encourage gelling. Stone fruits, also known as drupes, include apricots, cherries, nectarines, peaches, and plums. Although most originated in China, the shrubs and trees that produce stone fruits are now grown in temperate climates worldwide. The domestic varieties of stone fruits are in season from late spring through summer. They tend to be fragile fruits. They're easily bruised and difficult to transport, and have a relatively short shelf life. Do not wash stone fruits until ready to use. Use moisture, as moisture can cause deterioration. Stone fruits are excellent dried and are often used to make liqueurs and brandies. The kernel inside of the pit of many stone fruits contain a compound that has a bitter almond flavor. Eating the raw kernel can cause digestive discomfort or more serious side effects and should be avoided. When cooked, it's harmless and can add flavor into jams and creams. Apricots are small, round stone fruits with a velvety skin. They vary in color from deep yellow to vivid orange. The juicy orange flesh of the apricot surrounds a dark almond-shaped pit. Apricots can be eaten out of hand, poached, stewed, baked, or candied. They're often used in fruit compotes or savory sauces for meat or poultry, and are also particular and very popular in quick breads and fruit tarts, or pureed for dessert sauces, jams, custard, or mousses. Apricots have a short season and do not travel well. Select apricots that are well shaped, plump, and fairly firm. Avoid greenish yellow or mushy fruit. Fresh apricots last for several days under refrigeration, but their flavor is best at room temperature. If fresh fruits are unavailable, canned apricots are usually used as an acceptable substitute. Dried apricots and apricot juice, also known as nectar, are readily available. From the northern states, particularly Washington, Oregon, Michigan, and New York, come two of the most important types of cherries, the sweet cherry and the sour or tart cherries. Sweet cherries are round to heart shape, about 1 inch in diameter, with skin that ranges from yellow to deepish red to nearly black. The flesh, which is sweet and juicy, may vary from yellow to dark red. The most common and popular sweet cherries are the dark red Bing cherries. Yellow red Royal Anne and Rainier cherries are also available in some areas. Sweet cherries are marketed fresh, made into maraschino cherries, or candied or used in baking goods. Cherries do not ripen further after harvesting. Select fruits that are firm and plump with a green stem still attached. There should not be any brown spots around the stem. A dry or brown stem indicates that the cherry is less than fresh. Once the stem is removed, the cherry will deteriorate rapidly. Store fresh cherries in a refrigerator so they don't wash them until you're ready to use. Sour cherries are light to dark red and are also very acidic, and they rarely eaten uncooked. The most common sour cherries are the Monterey or the Morello. Most sour cherries are canned or frozen or cooked with sugar and starch, usually cornstarch or tapioca, and sold as prepared pastry or in pie fillings. Both sweet and sour cherries are available dried as well. Peaches are round fruits with juicy, fresh, sweet flesh. Nectarines are a variety of a peach. The main difference between peaches and nectarines, however, are their skins. Peaches have a thin skin covered with fuzz, whereas nectarines have a thin, smooth skin. The flesh of either fruit ranges from white to pale orange, although their flavors are somewhat different. They may be substituted for each other in most recipes. Peaches and nectarines are excellent for eating out of hand or in dessert tarts or pastries. They're also used in jams, chutneys, preserves, and savory relishes, having a particular affinity for Asian and Indian dishes. Although the skin is edible, peaches are generally peeled before being used. Peaches are easily peeled if blanched first. Peaches and nectarines are either freestone or clingstone. In freestone, the flesh separates easily from the stone. Freestone fruits are commonly eaten out of hand. The flesh of the clingstone adheres firmly to the stone, and they hold their shape better when cooked and are the most often used for canning. California is the largest producer of peaches and nectarines in the United States. Canned and frozen peaches are readily available. Plums, from the French word prunes, are round to oval-shaped fruits that grow on trees or bushes. Dozens of plum varieties are known, although only a few are commercially significant. Plums vary in size from very small to 3 inches in diameter. Their thin skins can be green, red, yellow, or various shades of blue-purple. Plums are excellent for eating out of hand. Plums can also be baked, poached, or used in pies, cobblers, or tarts. They're often used in jams or preserves, and fresh slices can be used in salads or compotes. When selecting plums, look for plump, smooth fruits with unblemished skin. Generally, they should yield to gentle pressure, although the green and yellow varieties remain quite firm. Avoid plums with moist brown spots near the stem. Plums may be left at room temperature to ripen, then stored in the refrigerator. Tropical fruits are native to the world's hot tropical and subtropical regions. Most are readily available throughout the United States thanks to rapid transportation and distribution methods. All can be eaten fresh without cooking. The flavors of tropical fruits complement each other and go well with rich or spicy meats, fish, and poultry dishes. Common yellow bananas are actually the berries of a large tropical herb. Grown in bunches called hands, bananas are about 7 to 9 inches long with a sticky, soft, sweet flesh. Properly ripened bananas are excellent eaten out of hand or in salads. Lightly bruised or overripe fruits are best for breads or muffins. Bananas blend well with other tropical fruits and citrus. Their unique flavor is also complemented by curries, cinnamon, ginger, honey, and chocolate. Fresh bananas are available all year round. Bananas are also harvested when still green because their texture and flavor is adversely affected if the fruits are allowed to turn yellow on the tree. Unripe bananas are hard, dry, and starchy. Because bananas ripen after harvesting, it is acceptable to purchase green bananas if there's sufficient time for final ripening before use. Bananas should be left at room temperature to ripen. The properly ripened banana has a yellow peel and a brown flecks on it. The tip of the ripe banana should not have any remaining green coloring. As bananas continue to age, the peel darkens and the starches turn to sugar, giving the fruits a sweeter flavor. Avoid bananas that have large brown bruises or gray cast, a sign of cold damage. Here's a little professional tip. When you get bananas home and you peel off one of your bananas off of the stalk, wrap the end of that peel where it broke off from the cluster with a little plastic wrap, and it'll prevent them from browning too fast. Also, never store bananas in the refrigerator, as this will speed up the process of the ethylene outgassing, which will cause them to ripen extraordinarily fast. And especially never store bananas in the freezer, because they will turn black and mushy very, very quickly, unless you're planning on making banana bread. And let's be honest, nobody ever makes banana bread. A plantain, a major group of banana varieties that are staple foods in many tropical areas. The edible fruit of a plantain banana has more starch than the common dessert banana and is not eaten raw usually. Because plantains have the most starch before they're ripened, they are usually cooked green, either boiled or fried in savory dishes. The ripe fruits are mildly sweet and are often cooked with coconut juice or sugar as flavoring. Plantains may also be fried or dried rather for later use in cooking or ground into a meal like flour, which can be further refined into a type of masa. You can also fry bananas, these plantains. And typically you'll find something like this done in South American cultures where they will fry it, take it out, flatten it, or squish it, and then fry it again for a very crisp, nice treat, and then just hit it with a little lime juice and salt, and that's all you really need. This is a dish that's often referred to as tostones. Dates are the fruit of the palm plant tree, which have been cultivated since ancient times. Dates are about 1 to 2 inches in length and with a paper-thin skin and a single grooved seed. Most dates are golden to dark brown when ripe. Although dates appear to be dried, they're actually fresh fruits. They have a sticky sweet, almost candied texture and a rich flavor. Dates provide flavor and moisture to breads, muffins, cookies, and tarts. They can also be served with fresh or dried fruits or stuffed with meats or cheeses as an appetizer. Pitted dates are available in several packaged forms: whole, chopped, or extruded and used into baking. Whole unpitted dates are available in bulk. Date juice is also available and used as a beverage, and date syrup is a natural sweetener used in baked goods. When selecting dates, look for those that are plump, glossy, and moist. Kiwis, sometimes known as kiwi fruits or Chinese gooseberries, are small oval fruits about the size of a large egg, with thin, fuzzy brown skin. The flesh is bright green or golden yellow with a white core surrounded by hundreds of tiny black seeds. Kiwis are sweet, somewhat bland, however. They're best used raw, peeled, and eaten out of hand or sliced for fruit salads or garnishes. Although kiwis are not recommended for cooking because heat causes them to fall apart, they are a perfect addition to glazed fruit tarts and can be pureed for sorbets, sauces, or mousses. Kiwis contain an enzyme similar to that of fresh pineapple and papaya, which has a tenderizing effect on meat and prevents gelling. They should not be used in salads bound with a gelatin. Mangoes are oval or kidney-shaped fruits that normally weigh between 6 ounces to 1 pound. Their skin is smooth and thin but tough, varying from yellow to orange with patches of green, red, or purple. As mangoes ripen, the green disappears. The juicy, bright orange flesh clings to a large, flat pit. The mango's unique flavor is spicy sweet with an acidic tang. Mangoes can be pureed for use in drinks or sauces, or the flesh can be sliced or cubed for use in salads, pickles, chutneys, or desserts. Mangoes go well with spicy foods such as curry and with barbecued meats. Although Florida produces some mangoes, most of the available mangoes in the United States come from Mexico and Central America. Select fruits with good color that are firm and free of blemishes. Ripe mangoes should have a good aroma and should not be too soft or shriveled. Allow mangoes to ripen completely at room temperature, then refrigerate for up to 1 week.
I want to be on a beach right now. I think mango is like the most popular fruit in the world, so we should probably know how to cut it, right? There's a problem with cutting mangoes, and it has to do with the shape of the pit. They have a narrow side and then a fat side. You don't want to see dark green. If it's mostly like a light yellowish, greenish, that's good. They should kind of be soft, but not like mushy. They should give a little bit. There's a few ways to cut it, so I guess we'll show you a few. This is the center. Push it over 1/4 inch and then cut down. These are the cheeks. The pit is like all this dark yellowish right here. We want to shave this part of the meat. The mango can be a pain, so we're going to test this bad boy out, see if it makes life a little bit easier. The wide side's pointing towards the handle. That worked better than expected. Set them up into like little piles. Up against the knife. Let me know if you still need help with this. I hope this covers it though.
The papaya is a greenish yellow fruit shaped rather like a large pear and weighing 1 to 2 pounds. When halved, a papaya resembles a melon. The flesh is golden to reddish pink. Its center cavity is filled with round silver black seeds resembling caviar. Ripe papaya can be eaten raw or only a squirt of lemon or lime juice. They can also be pureed for sweet or spicy sauces, chilled soups, or sorbets. Papayas contain papain, an enzyme which breaks down proteins, and therefore papayas are an excellent meat tenderizer. Meats can be marinated with papaya juice or sliced before cooking. The papain in fresh papayas, however, makes them unsuitable for use in gelatins because it inhibits gelling. Unripe or green papayas are often used in pickles or chutneys and can be baked or stewed with meats or poultry. Papaya seeds are edible, with a peppery flavor and slight crunch. They're occasionally used to garnish fruit salads and add flavored fruits, salsas, and compotes. Papayas are grown in tropical and subtropical areas worldwide. Select papayas that are plump with a smooth, unblemished skin. Color is best determinant of ripeness than is softness. The greater the proportion of yellow to green skin color, the riper the fruit. Papayas may be held at room temperature until completely ripe, then refrigerated for up to a week. Personally, one of my favorite things to do with a papaya is actually to grate it while it's still green and make a green papaya slaw with it. And it gives it a very nice crisp texture and a slightly spicy, less sweet, almost dry taste to it, which is very popular in a lot of Southeast Asian cuisines. Passion fruits have a firm, almost shell-like purple skin with orange-yellow pulp surrounding large black edible seeds. They're also about the size and shape of a large hen's egg, with a sweet, rich, and unmistakably citrusy flavor. The pulp is used in custards, sauces, and ice creams. Passion fruits are grown in New Zealand, Hawaii, and California. Pineapples are the fruits of a shrub with sharp, spear-shaped leaves. Each fruit is covered with rough, brown eyes, giving it the appearance of a pine cone. The pale yellow flesh, which is sweet and very juicy, surrounds a cylindrical, woody core that is edible, but is generally too tough for most usages. Typically, we would puree them or use them in some kind of cooking application for sweetness. Most pineapples weigh approximately 2 pounds, but dwarf varieties are also available. Pineapples are an excellent eaten raw, alone, or in salads. Slices can be baked or grilled to accompany pork or ham. The cuisines of Southeast Asia incorporate pineapple into various curries, soups, and stews. Pineapple juice is a popular beverage, often used in punch or cocktails. Canned or cooked pineapple can be added to gelatin mixtures, but avoid using fresh pineapple. An enzyme bromelain found in these fresh pineapples break down gelatin, like some of the other fruits we've discussed. Pineapple do not ripen after harvesting, although they will continue softening once picked. They must be left on the stem until completely ripe, at which time they are extremely perishable. Because of this, you generally will not find extremely ripe pineapples in much of the United States. They're typically going to have some greening still left on them. Most pineapples come from Central America, Southeast Asia, and Brazil, and this is where you're going to find your freshest pineapples. Select heavy fruits with a strong, sweet aroma and rich color. Avoid those with dried leaves or soft spots. Pineapples should be used as soon as possible after purchase. Pineapples are also available canned in slices, cubed or crushed, dried or candied. Most fruits are quite nutritious. They have a high water content, usually 75 to 95%, and are low in fat and proteins. Fruits are an excellent source of fiber, and natural sugars in fruits is a good source of energy. Citruses, melons, strawberries all contain large amounts of vitamin C, which may be destroyed by cooking. And deep yellow and green colored fruits like apricots and mangoes and kiwis are high in vitamin A for good eyesight. Hybrids are crossbred from species that are genetically unalike. So, for instance, taking an apple and crossing it with an apricot to get something brand new, a hybrid of those. Varieties are bred from fruits or vegetables of the same species, so 2 different apples to create a variety of a new apple. An heirloom refers to older varieties that are no longer widely grown. Heirloom varieties are genetically diverse and may help ensure a continued food supply. Heirloom tomatoes are very popular these days, and they're typically not the perfectly round tomatoes that you would see in the grocery store. They're craggy and they've got some character to them, but they're very sweet. The whole thing about heirloom is it refers to seeds that have been around for quite a while and typically have been unaltered during that time. They may be your grandmother's tomatoes that she grew, or the apple tree that's been on your farm for years, or the plum tree that's been in your backyard, or the pear tree which was down the street of the neighbors as a kid you used to go pick pears off of. When deciding whether to purchase fresh fruit and how to purchase fresh fruit, there are some things to consider. Factor number one, fruit may be shipped ripe or unripe. Think about that when you're looking for it. It depends on your usage. If you're looking for bananas, you probably don't want to use those bananas right away. If you do want to use them right away, look for bananas that are fully ripened. Actually, if you're going to use a banana for cooking, you may want a banana that's slightly green. So consider that whenever you're looking for your fruits. Fruit is sold by weight or count. So depending on how you purchase your fruit is going to depend on whether it's by the each, by the dozen, or by the pound, or however it might come. Packed in crates, bushels, cartons, cases, lugs, or flats, you need to know your pack size. So however you're packed in many cases, such as berries, for instance, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, these are going to come packed by the pint. For things like melons, they're going to be packed by the case or the bushel. So there is a terminology that has to be learned in those cases. And then before purchasing, consider the following: size, grade, quality, ripeness on delivery. All of these things are going to be affected by what you're going to use them for and how you're going to either cook them or eat them raw, or the speed at which you're going to use them. Maybe you want them for a buffet for eating out of hand for tomorrow. You want fruits that are readily ripened in that case. If you're not going to use them for a week, well, they can hang out for a bit and it'll be perfectly fine. Fruits and vegetables are graded on a voluntary basis. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has different grading categories for different fruits and vegetables. The lower the grade, the less likely you'll see it in the grocery store.
I'm so fancy, you already know.
U.S. grade extra fancy is what we would typically see with apples in the grocery store. These are apples that have unblemishes. They have very nice skins on them, no bruising, and typically you'll see things like the stem is still attached to it. A slightly lesser grade is going to be U.S. grade extra or fancy. U.S. grade fancy is perfectly acceptable, and you will often see this in the grocery store in many cases as well. After that, U.S. grade 1, we'll start to see some blemishes, we'll start to see some bruising, but they're minor, they're cosmetic in nature for the most part. Grade 2 is going to be more of that, and again, the more bruising you'll see, the lower the grade. The lower the grade, the less likely you'll see it in the grocery store. It'll be used when we get down to grade 3, or we get down to some of the other grades which have names associated with them, like utility. These would be used for canning purposes, for making sauces, for making products that would be used in other food items. Typically, we'll not see grades 2 and 3 in the grocery store. As we've discussed several times before, fresh fruits can be purchased either fully ripened or unripened. This really depends on the species of fruit and its utilization. Chilling fruits slows its respiration rate and the fruit's conversion of starch to sugar. So if you get fruits that are unripe and you want to keep them in an unripe state longer, you can put them into a refrigerator. If you are planning on using them as soon as possible, you want to leave them at room temperature outside of refrigeration. However, once a fruit has been cut, it must be refrigerated for time temperature control for safety. So let's take a moment to talk about ethylene gas. Ethylene gas is a derivative of a carbon and hydrogen mixture. It causes ripening in fruits, particularly climateric fruits. These are fruits that are grown in hot temperate environments or very environment sensitive. Fruits like bananas and tomatoes, avocados, mangoes, papayas, persimmons, and honeydew melons are all these kinds of fruits. These are naturally occurring gas that give off this ethylene gas, naturally occurring fruits that give off this ethylene gas. Apples give it off. Bananas, kiwis, nectarines, peaches, plums, apricots, avocados, honeydews, mangoes, papayas, pears, and tomatoes all give off this kind of gas. So if you have any fruit or vegetables that you don't want to ripen too fast, you have to keep those separated from their relatives in the refrigeration or dry storage area. Some of the things that are sensitive to ethylene gas are broccoli and carrots, eggplants, lettuces in particular, potatoes, asparagus, cucumbers, green beans, cauliflower, and watermelon. I often wonder why my cucumbers go bad in my crisper in the refrigerator when stored. Well, it's because I also keep apples in there. Keep your products that are sensitive to ethylene gas separate from those that emit it. When considering how to preserve fruits, there are some considerations and some terminology you need to know about. Irradiation. This is a process that uses ionizing radiation to sterilize food. This is a very low level of radiation that is even less than what your cell phone emits when it's put up next to your head. So you don't have to worry about this turning green and getting angry. Acidulation. Acidulation is another name for pickling in this particular case. Enzymatic browning, or browning that occurs by enzymes coming to the surface and making contact with air. Think about a potato when you cut it and it'll start to brown. This is basically fruit rust. Well, we're going to prevent this from adding a little bit of acid into the equation. In this case, we're talking about adding, maybe we're going to pickle some different things. Maybe we add a little lemon juice to it, or we add a pickling solution to it. Canning is another another preservation method that we can do. We can solid pack, which is little or no water added to it. If you're going to do these, they're only good for certain types of fruit pulps and things like that, and typically where the water is already extracted. So dates would be a good example of that. Water packed is adding water or fruit juice. So you may find like your lychees are stored in a fruit juice, in a lychee fruit juice, and canned. And then syrup packed. We've all had those fruit cups growing up as a kid that were just saturated with this sugar syrup. So we understand that process. Freezing. A lot of fruits are packed IQF. This means individually quick frozen. And this is so that they can be utilized pretty quickly. Individually quick freezing was a process that was actually pioneered by a man named Birdseye. That may sound familiar to you. It was designed to very, very, very quickly flash freeze the food using a mixture of salt water and extreme cold temperatures. Drying food is one of the oldest techniques known for preserving food, and typically it would be done over a campfire, slightly away from the fire, so you get more of the low heat that would slowly dry it over time. In the picture here on the screen, you can see quite a few fruits that have been dried in this particular manner.
You tell that man that he's the jam in my jelly roll. I'll see you, baby, okay? Bye-bye.
Bye.
So what about jams and jellies and marmalades and preserves? What's the difference between these? Jams are fruit gels made from fruit pulp and sugar. So it's typically going to have a little more body to it. Whereas jellies are a fruit gel made from fruit juice and sugar. So it's typically not going to have any body to it, and it's only going to be the flavors of the fruit. Marmalade, however, is a citrus jelly that's usually made with unpeeled slices of fruit, of citrus fruits. So a typical one would be an orange marmalade, where you would actually have pieces of the zest included in the marmalade itself. And then preserves are fruit gel that contains large chunks or whole pieces of fruit in there. And we're very familiar with this if you've ever eaten strawberry preserves and you've smeared it on a piece of toast or a biscuit and it's got these big chunks of strawberry in it. Whew. After this long chapter, let's sum up things. Number 1, berries are very perishable. Raspberries are mostly perishable. Purchase close to usage and keep them refrigerated until used. If you find any mold in them, discard the whole batch because they're probably bad. Mold spreads perniciously through fruits and vegetables. Because of transportation seasonality, many fruits are picked green and allowed to ripen off the vine. This is actually controlled spoilage in many cases, although it is done as a general practice in many grocery stores and things along those lines, and is typically considered to be favorable in many cases. Fruits with large pits are broken into 2 categories, freestone and clingstone, and they are exactly what they sound to be like. Freestone has a pit that is easily removed once it's opened up, and clingstone, well, clings. Choose drupes, such as apples, pears, etc., and other fruits for their usage. Are you going to cook them? Are they going to be cooked, or are they going to be eaten out of hand or raw? Keep fruits stored properly. Do not store ethylene gas producers next to items that are in danger of degrading due to outgassing. And finally, jams, jellies, marmalades, or preserves. I don't care which as long as I have a biscuit to go with it.